Hello everyone, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. I'm here today with my neighbor, Daryl. He's going to be helping us today cut up some firewood because I can't run a chainsaw. And he's going to be working doing that for us, and we're going to show you all a little bit of video about what it's like when a neighbor comes over to help another neighbor out.
So you're going to utilize everything like this stuff right here?
Yeah, I use everything. I don't waste nothing. But now, cutting that with a saw is extremely dangerous. So you can just, actually you could cut it off up here, and a lot of that's just going to fall apart, and I'll just use it piece by piece.
Well, you could run that through the splitter though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Let's go up to the front, cut all of our tension points out first.
Coffee break. Coffee break.
Ooh, doggy, thank you.
So that looks pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and go down there and get a file. It's 3/8 chain. I got files.
You're speaking Greek to me.
I got files for every chain there is. Yeah, that's a 3/8.
Yeah, your husband likes to speak Greek.
Okay. You gonna explain this, or you just gonna do it?
I'm doing it. I mean, we're taking the time while my neighbor's taking his break. We're gonna sharpen his chain on his saw for him.
Drinking this.
Coffee break time.
Coffee break. Drink it if you got it.
Drink it if you got it. There you go. The bean juice.
In the military, we used to say, smoke them if you got it.
That's it.
All right.
On the homestead, when you say smoke them if you got them, that means bacon.
That could be some illegal stuff right there.
Yeah. When one's been sharpened by a machine, it takes a little bit with a file to get it where you can sharpen it, because the machine sharpens it kind of in a groove down in there, and that file's round, and you got to file all that out. I mean, it looks like I'm filing a lot, and I'm not actually taking anything off the tooth. I'm just rounding it out where the machine cut a groove in it.
So you said you done it for 15 years.
Yeah.
How often do you recommend sharpening your chain?
I sharpen the chain after every tank of fuel.
Wow.
You would think it would wear your chain out, but the truth of the matter is it actually saves your chain. Because if you run it when it's dull, you'll case harden these teeth, and they round over, and it takes. And if you try to sharpen an individual tooth that's been messed up really bad, and you get it a lot smaller than the other teeth are, then it makes your chain chatter and jump real bad when you're cutting it. It's not a smooth cut. It's like vibrating real bad when you're cutting. So if you'll take the time, every time you run it, to stop and just sharpen the teeth again. It doesn't take just a few strokes on every tooth, and your chain will actually last a lot longer. Your bar lasts longer, your motor on your saw lasts longer. It's just not hard on everything.
See, I never really, like I said, I've been in the military, and I retired out of the military, and I depended upon basically somebody else providing everything for me.
Yeah.
I mean, we go to the store and buy food and everything like that, and so this is the first time I ever homestead. But I picked up a chainsaw, and somebody told me, they was like, if you have to force it, you're getting into the dangerous territory.
Yeah, that's right. If you have to force a saw or to pull on it or anything like that, it's the same principle with a knife. A dull knife will cut you quicker than a sharp one will, because a dull knife, you're leaning into it and you're pushing harder to make it do its job, and then when it does slip, just the force of the body will make you do something you're not supposed to do. Same thing with a chainsaw. If you're having to force that chainsaw, you're leaning into it with your body weight and everything, and should that thing jump or kick back on you, you've lost your balance, and then you're going to fall into it.
Now, if I was to, as you know, I don't really sharpen my chains. I buy new chains because...
Yeah.
How much would you charge for me to bring like 5 chains over or something like that? Because I like to have a whole assortment of chains. Instead of sharpen, I just replace a chain.
Right.
And then how much would you charge something like that to keep them sharp?
Doing it by hand, I mean, if I was to charge the length of time that it took, it wouldn't be worth it. So, and then if you had a machine, yeah, you could run through this chain in probably 4 or 5 minutes with a machine. You know, but by doing it by hand, it's going to take a lot longer. It's really the reason you can't charge by time on doing something like this. This is just one of the things that you just do because you love doing it. You know, it's probably $5 a chain for me.
Yep.
You know, to sit down and sharpen one of them.
Now.
What we're doing now is we're knocking the tops of the drags off just a little bit, because they're almost level with the top of the teeth, and if they're level with the top of the teeth, it doesn't matter how sharp the chain is, it will not cut. So we're kind of just brushing them just a touch where we can get just a little bit of a bite in the wood. If you cut them off too much now, then your chain will just bog down all the time and it won't cut anything.
Saying that or not a cut. All right, show what a drag in that store.
This here is called a drag link right here. This is your cutting part. This is a drag. This tells how much wood this is allowed to cut off by the height of it. And right now, these are almost flush with the top of that tooth right there. And when that's the case, this tooth will not cut because it cannot get into the wood. So we're going to take just a little bit off of this, maybe 2/1000ths of an inch, to give this tooth just the ability to grab a little bit of wood when it's cutting. I've been all the way around.
But the next thing we're going to be doing is whenever we're going to be cutting out the tops of the trees.
Okay.
That would be the consensus of everybody, I believe.
Yep. It was like, you know what, all this manual labor stuff, like, what? Wear me out. Woo!
We start cutting on the tops of these trees because that prevents the roll issue. When we start at the top, we cut the tops out before we work at the base. That way we don't have to worry about the tree rolling over on us.
Okay, wait. Now show me where that is, because I can't
You're supposed to put bar oil on here, but what I found is I ran out of bar oil, and I needed to cut today, and so I grabbed some 15W40 engine oil. The problem with this is it's thinner than bar oil.
Yeah.
And it throws the oil out a lot faster than bar oil. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not going to hurt it, It's just you got to keep an eye on your oil level, because normally what will happen is your oil will go down about the same amount as this tank right here. Normally whenever you finish off a tank, you finished off your bar oil. But because I'm using a lot thinner oil, I have to keep an eye on my oil so that it don't actually run out of oil before I run out of fuel. That's one of the things that we've been sitting back and looking at.
See, that's one of the things about being on a homestead. You don't always have accessibility to the exact things that you need according to the manufacturer's recommendations, and you have to do what you have to do on a homestead. You have to improvise. Use what's available, because we live so far away from town, it's not worth it to run to town to get 1 gallon of bar oil to not get a job done.
Well, also one thing that I've learned down here in South Mississippi, we try to get, right now it's nice and cool. It's going to stay nice and cool all day long. But if this is during the summer, we don't have time to be going into town and coming back and trying to get everything done, because we've already started going into the heat of the day.
Yeah. I mean, we start at 5 o'clock in the morning, because by 9 o'clock, it's too hot.
I'm sweating like crazy.
Yeah.
Sweat's dripping off of me, and I'm like,
yeah.
Whoa, it's hot out here. Lord, give me some ice water.
I thought I could bring mine over and get it done. Man, we'll say that's how you deal with the steel.
That's just sharpened his a few minutes ago. He was sawing, and I told him, I said, I said, dude, you know, after every tank you need to sharpen it.
Show me how to do it then.
It's going to depend, talking about the angles of the chain, that depends on whether you're cutting pine or hardwood. If you're cutting pine, you want to stay with that angle that's marked on the back of that tooth right there. But if you're cutting hardwood, like what we predominantly cut, you want that tooth to be a little bit straighter across than that, because if hardwood is so much harder, if you got that thing at a long keen point, it'll get duller quicker in hardwood than it will pine.
Well, most of this is going to be oak.
Okay, then we don't want it to be so sharp pointed like this. We want to kind of start bringing it up and start not necessarily square across the front. You want some angle on it, but not as much, probably 15 degrees or something like that, because this one's already cut at like 35 or more, or 38 looks like. We're going to have to start, when we sharpen it, we're going to have to start.
Never pull back, just one way.
No, just go one way, because when you drag a file back, you actually dull it.
Right.
So how do I know the proper degree? Like whenever I'm following freehand like that, with you, like what you're doing?
It's the position I sit in that tells me. Me sitting in this position with that saw resting against my knee and my knee on this handle, that tells me I have control over the saw. It's not going to flip out of my hands, and I'm holding it with this one. And by me going like this right here, I automatically know in relation to that tooth, I'm going to be at about the right angle for hardwood. Now if I want pine, then I'm going to bring the saw a little bit further under my leg like that, because that gives me a little bit sharper angle whenever I'm doing it. So for hardwood, I'll set it out where I'm sitting more square to it, because you want your file to be like at a 90-degree angle from your bar when you're doing it.
Slightly less than 90 then?
Yeah.
Skip every other one?
Yeah. You got to do the ones that are in different angles. In other words, these teeth
gotcha.
on the other side, you have to do the other ones that are facing the other direction. And if you keep, I tap mine like that on that flat part there where there's nothing on it, so I can bump the stuff off. And occasionally I'll take it and turn it on my pants like this to get the.
Use any cutting oil or anything like
No,
that?
don't ever put oil on a file.
Okay.
You put oil on a file, it ruins it.
Now, how do you know when the blade is says I've sharpened it too much? Like, in other words, it's ready to get a new whole blade.
I've used these things down to them teeth were only like that, like that much tooth left on them, right there.
Okay.
It all depends on what happens is the reason the chain wears out. These links and pins in between them pieces right there get wore, and the chain gets where it's real floppy.
What's a good brand of chain?
Oregon's what I usually use.
So you don't have to get a steel chain.
No.
They're pretty much all the same.
Yeah.
Unless you get like that self-sharpening thing like that.
Right. Now there's different types of chains. When you go to a small engine place or something to buy a chain, depending on when they look at you, they're trained when you walk in the door and they look at you.
You don't know what the hell he's doing.
If they look at you and they go, that joker don't know what he's doing, they will sell you what's called a safety chain.
Mm-hmm.
That safety chain, this is not a safety chain. That safety chain right here will have another link right here sticking up. It's called an anti-kickback chain.
Mm-hmm.
That's to keep that thing so when you stick it in something, it don't kick back and throw back in your face.
Do you not want that?
No, because they won't cut fast.
Okay.
I like
We'd
a
rather
chain.
just have the chain kick back and cut your neck off.
Yeah.
I like that.
No, I mean, really, it's about being responsible with your
Right,
equipment. You know? I mean, if you don't think that you can handle that saw without running the risk of it kicking back
shouldn't
on you,
even
then
be
you need a
using
safety
it.
chain.
Right. Or you shouldn't even be cut.
Or you shouldn't be using the saw if you're that careless with it. But this
That's
is
good to know that I didn't have the safety
Yeah.
chain the whole time I've been
this
cutting.
is a professional cutting chain because it doesn't have that extra drag over there
Okay.
to prevent that from happening. What we're going to do here now, I want to show y'all how the different cuts in wood, when you're cutting across the grain, you throw out these chips. You get chips like this right here, little small chips. But what we're going to do here now is we're going to demonstrate how that you can make long shavings and use it for bedding if you have baby chicks and stuff like that. Or you can use it for a fire starter. What we're going to be doing, instead of cutting across the grain, we're going to be cutting with the grain. All right. Yep.
Never seen this, but all right then. Sometimes I just learn to have to trust you.
You got to trust me on this one.
Well, just straight down the middle.
Straight down the middle. There you have it. You got a good fire starter, or you got some bedding for baby chicks or rabbits or whatever you need it for.
Huh, that is amazing.